Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's live lesson. Today we're going to be looking at something called signposting. Signposting, just like a signpost you see on a road, etc., if it hasn't been knocked over by our bad Joburg drivers, of course. I want you to think about your essay as a kind of journey, okay? It's a journey from the introduction of your essay to the conclusion of your essay. And you are going to be the driver of a vehicle. And the readers are the passengers on this journey you're taking them on via your essay. And you'll know sometimes passengers will doze off to sleep, and sometimes they wake up. And when they do wake up, they're very confused, like, where am I? How did I get here? Etc. And this is what sometimes people marking essays can feel like where are we going? Where's this? What direction are we heading in? Okay, it's because, and that would only be because there was no clear signposts in your essay. You as a driver have to provide signposting. Okay. Signposting means using words to tell your reader about the content of your essay rather than just throwing out the content itself. That's part of your essay writing, but the other part is signposting and showing your reader where you're going. Right, you've got to help the reader understand things as clearly as possible. For example, if you say, in order to explain something, the reader knows in advance you're going to come up with an explanation or a theory or whatever. If you write something like, there are several ways we can look at an item, the reader knows there's going to be some elements coming up that are going to be discussed. If you say another issue, that means you've already written about one and now you're writing about the second issue. If you're going to say this essay explores theoretical and practical approaches, for example, the reader knows in advance the writing is going to be looking at two different ways of thinking about something. So basically, your essay is a journey through your argument or discussion. Your paragraphs are the stepping stones on that journey, and signposts are the things that guide your reader through. They indicate what will happen, remind them of where they are at key points along the way, and indicate the direction you are taking the essay in. Okay, whether you're for something or against something. Okay, so let's take a little look at a document. There is a picture of a signpost. You've all seen them on roads where they haven't been knocked over, as we mentioned earlier. Okay. Signposting means using words and phrases that steer your reader without difficulty through your essay. Okay. That's all it's about. And when you use those signposting words, it looks like you, the writer, knows what they're talking about. There's two types of signposting. Major signposts, which are used in introductions, opening phrases, outlining main arguments, ensuring you're keeping in the right direction of the argument in your paragraphs and in your conclusion. Further to that, you've got shorter linking words and phrases, which connect words that help guide the reader through the argument by linking ideas, sentences, and paragraphs. Okay, so signposting is important, and it looks good when you can do it. Excuse me. What is a signposting word or phrase? What are we talking about here? A signpost word or phrase is used in formal writing to connect clauses or sentences. Then the reader knows what kind of information to expect. Some readers are not very bright and you really have to tell them what to expect, okay? some of the most common signposting words and phrases are in this little table here. In fact, if you had this little table, you would have most of the words you can probably use in any essay, whether it's maybe even narrative, but definitely persuasive and definitely argumentative. And remember, a persuasive and argumentative essay is the same thing. So we'll look at some of the words, signposting words. Additionally, furthermore, in short, in fact, naturally. For example, that is, in the meantime, on the contrary, therefore, to summarize, furthermore, consequently. They all have their own specific meaning and they clarify what you are going to talk about. We will definitely send them the info to some people who are asking for it already. There we go. Right, so that's very important words that you can use just about anywhere. Signposting words and phrases used for connecting things, just like that. Okay, another one. Right, so we got that. Right, what are linking words and sentence connectors? Are they all the same thing or what? In general, linking words, conjunctions, and connectors describe the relationship between two statements or sentences. But grammatically speaking, conjunctions join two sentences to make one sentence, and that's obviously going to be a compound sentence. Okay. Linkers are words that connect one sentence or idea with another. They're a way to ensure there's a logical connection within your sentence or within your paragraph. Connectors are used inside short sentences or long sentences. And of course, the punctuation part may be separated from the previous idea by a semicolon. Now, we looked at colons and semicolons in our Q&A. If you're still not sure about them, send me a message. I'll send you the info. Then you've got it. Connectors are very similar to coordinating and subordinating conjunctions. And punctuation-wise, note that a comma must follow a connector if it is the first word in a sentence. For example, however. And finally, connectors also include conjunctive adverbs, which join ideas in sentences, particularly complex sentences. Okay? We'll take a look at that in a bit more detail just now. Right, linking words to use in argumentative or persuasive writing. Okay, same thing, you argue with someone or you persuade them. Which is the easier path to follow? Okay, using linking or transition words to signpost your arguments can help clarify your views. It also shows the reader what to expect from certain paragraphs or sentences. And these words give structure to the whole argument, helping you to organize your ideas and assist the reader in understanding them. Now, the comma will go, there's a question that's just come up. If you're writing the word however at the beginning of a sentence, you put however, comma. If it's in the middle of sentence 1 and there's sentence 2, then you put blah, 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 comma, however, comma, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so if it's in the middle, there's a comma after the first part, however, comma, before the next part. Okay, so you're doing 2 commas if however is inside there. Okay, right. Now, these words here are probably the only words also you will ever need for writing any essay for the next 10, 20 years, okay? We've got words for describing similarities. For example, correspondingly, in the same way, similarly, not only but also. You can use them. We've got cause and effect, which is why and because. We can say as a result, consequently, for this reason, therefore. If you're trying to clarify and emphasize something, you've got words like especially, for instance, inevitably, moreover, obviously, particularly, and of course, if you're doing paragraphs, first, second, third paragraphs, or giving your examples. Okay, remember the rule of three, give three of. Then comparing and contrasting. Okay, this is where you could maybe use them in your counter argument. Alternatively, conversely, however, whereas, instead. Okay, you'll see some words are also in different categories, but it's how you use them that's going to count. If you're contradicting someone, wanting to say the opposite, or there's an exception to the rule, or an example, admittedly, although, despite, nevertheless, on the contrary, those sort of words. Proving, if you've got to prove something, because, evidently, for this reason, inevitably. Order of things, there's some questions on the web chat, I'll answer them just now. The order of things, previously, following this, finally, subsequently, there must be some order in your paragraphs and in your sentences. Repeat or refer back to something, as has been mentioned, as previously discussed, as indicated, specified, or stated. Okay, you're repeating something to emphasizing it, or maybe referring back because you're going to give another example of the same thing. Finally, concluding, as can be seen, as described, finally, in conclusion, ultimately. Those words are probably the only ones you will ever need, as we said. Okay, let's look at a few questions here. Can we write exams and then do all the assignments? Well, it depends on the length, I think, of your subscription. If you've only got 1 week to go and you haven't done your assignments, there's no way you're going to finish them, because some people do try that, believe it or not, and they still have to do the exam within their subscription time. Say you've got a subscription for a year, that's what you can do if you want to. But they generally won't let you write the exam until you've done most of your assignments. Remember, your assignments count for 20% of your final mark, and your exam is 80%. Okay? Right, could we use the word, I hope people understand that one. Can you use conclusively for proving something? I think it sounds very scientific, this one. You could perhaps use it if you can really prove it and you conclude that this is a total fact. Okay, so I would use it gently. Okay, right. Yes, there's another question about the exam. Our last assignment is being March. Yes, you can. As long as you have time within the subscription, you are fine. Okay. Of course, it's better to be organized and try and do your assignments on time. Okay, right, going back to argumentative, persuasive writing and linking words. These are all the words you could use anytime, all the time. So if you're getting this paperwork, you can just stick it on your essay plan. Let's take a quick look at the essay plan again. Essay plan, you've got your topic, and then you think up, ooh, what vocabulary would I be using there? What simile, what metaphor, what personification, what onomatopoeia, and you write some down there that you may or may not use. You've got them there. Then in the middle of your whole diagram, you have got your central theme, which is the task that you're doing. In this case, it was zoos. Is the introduction, are you going to be pro or anti? What's your main argument going to be? What's your counter argument going to be? What's your conclusion? You're writing some notes on that, okay? You're going to do some research. You're going to find out some stats and facts, statistics and facts. You're also going to look up some facts and opinions, okay? Because if there's an opinion there, you can give the same opinion or a contrary one, a counter opinion. You're also going to be writing your topic sentences for each of your paragraphs, paragraph 1, paragraph 2, paragraph 3. And then you've got all your connectors and linking words along the bottom here. Contrasting words, conjunctions, connectors, linkers, adding words, connecting words between paragraphs, signposting words. They're all there, the words that you might want to use. So as soon as you start writing, you just glance at them and see which one fits best into what you're saying. Everything at your fingertips, all ready to go, and you're away. So with your essay plan, try to do everything in advance. It's to your own benefit. It saves you the trouble. You're guiding, you're the driver of this whole essay. So you've got all your bits and pieces in the vehicle, ready to go. Okay? And it's just a matter of you writing it up. It's always better to do a draft if you can. Even if you have to type this draft and you know you're supposed to write your assignment by hand, except if it's articles or online reports. Reports or articles are allowed to be typed because you usually have to put images in them. So that's a good thing, but if you know you have to write by hand, which you do in the exam, that's why they insist on you doing that, you can do your draft copy. Just type it out. If you're a good typist, you're quick at typing. And then once you've done that, you can see, well, look, there's the words I can put in. And when you write it out by hand, wow, you've got everything in place. Okay? And that's why we've got our signposting words. Okay, so we've looked at connectors, signposting words, and now we look briefly at conjunctions, because that's another way to join sentences in particular. Conjunctions link other words, phrases, or clauses. There are 3 types of conjunctions: coordinating, subordinating, and correlative. Don't worry about what they're called. We'll look at them just now. The coordinating conjunction, there's only 7 in the whole language, as we said the other day. And the acronym for that is fanboys. Those are the 7 conjunctions you use to join 2 sentences. Just for a change, there's no more. Right, if they connect 2 words, Jack and Jill went up the hill. Connecting 2 phrases, the dog ran across the road and into the neighbor's garden. Connecting 2 sentences, a few children did their homework and others played sports. Okay, so joining your 2 sentences, you've generally got that, unless you're using some type of adverbial clause. Okay, the subordinating conjunction, that's what we're going to look at now, connects 2 groups of words but makes one into a subordinate clause, which is really an adverbial clause because they answer certain questions like why and when, everything about the main clause. So you need to be able to identify the main clause and the subordinate clause. Let's look at a few examples. I can go to lunch after my work is finished. So there's our main clause. I can go to lunch. And we ask the question when? After my work is finished. So we use the conjunction after. It can also be an adverb. Remember, you've got conjunctive adverbs, which we'll look at just now. Since I forgot to bring any money, I could not buy lunch. Oh, so what's the main clause here? I could not buy lunch. That can stand alone. Why can't I buy lunch? Since I forgot to bring any money. Okay, there's your subordinate clause there. If you do my homework, I will give you 20 rand. Aha. What's the main clause there? I will give you 20 rand if you do my homework. Okay, that's a condition. Although I finished my chores, Dad refused to let me watch TV. Ooh, outrageous. Okay, there's your main clause. Dad refused to let me watch TV. And this is a bit of opposition, or even answers just the question why, even though, although I had finished my chores. Okay, so your main clause, your subordinate clause, subordinating connectives are generally used to indicate time, manner, place, contrast, and reason. Okay, those things. They answer questions why, where, what. Okay, and the third type of conjunction, correlative. They're used in pairs. Okay, there's not very many of them either. Both and, neither nor, either or, not only but also. Some examples, both my brother and my sister ate their breakfast this morning. Neither Jack nor Jill could climb up the hill. I am not only going to watch a movie, but also have dinner after work. Okay, so that's correlative conjunctions. We know that conjunctions cannot stand alone. You can't use them alone. They must join parts of sentences, just like a jigsaw puzzle fitting together. Connectives can be conjunctions or conjunctive adverbs, or indeed any linking words you can come up with. Quick look at conjunctive adverbs, or adverbials as they're known. You might get asked about one or the other to identify them in a progression test. They join ideas in sentences, particularly complex sentences, i.e. those with a main clause and a subordinate clause. Because remember, a compound sentence will have two, they're not full sentences because you've reduced them. Okay, they'll have two main sentences, a compound sentence. Right, a conjunctive adverb indicates the relationship between two independent clauses. Okay, there's your words that you could use, therefore, consequently, however, etc. Okay. And in almost all cases, a conjunctive adverb should be followed by a comma. Okay, just like we said earlier on, the girl thought, however, the girl thought, comma, however, that she was right, because your main clause is the girl thought that she was right. However, beginning the sentence, comma, the girl thought she was right. She knew what she did was wrong, semicolon, however, she did not care. He never has any money, comma, nevertheless, comma is missing, tut tut. He still buys cool drinks. I'm busy, so in the meanwhile, can you wash the dishes? Okay, hopefully that shows you where to use your commas. Let's see if we got time. Yes, we do. Remember, they might ask you what, put in an adverbial or identify an adverbial, which is just another word for an adverbial clause or adverb. An adverbial is an adverb, adverbial phrase or clause which gives additional information about time, place, manner, etc. of an action in the sentence. In other words, the adverbial answers the question who, why, how, where, how often, how much. Note that fronted adverbials are any words, phrases, or subordinate clauses that come before the main clause to give more information in the sentence. Fronted adverbials includes words that can start a sentence, like maybe, unfortunately, afterwards, seldom, or happily. Okay, there's many more. Unfortunately, we cannot have a dog whilst living in an apartment. Seldom have I seen the little girl so happy as when she met Santa Claus. Okay, and we can just finish up with how are paragraphs linked together. A new paragraph must be linked back in some way to what's happened before in the previous paragraph in your essay. So linking or signposting words need to be used because you need to show that you've already mentioned something about this. And this ensures your argument is built up slowly and logically. Maybe you want to reinforce a previous idea from another paragraph. A further example of this phenomenon can be seen in the work of Voltaire. Or Fontaine further demonstrates this idea. So you see how you can put in these words in appropriate places in your sentence to reinforce a previous idea. Contrasting, comparing ideas. The prisoner, on the other hand, expressed his crime as self-defense. This argument, however, is not feasible at all. Okay, we've stuck in signposting words to make your sentence better, bigger. Maybe you haven't got enough words. You use those little connecting words and you get up to your word count. Finally, concession. Okay, when you concede something. Although his idea was interesting, it was just not acceptable. While he emphasized that self-defense was not murder, the opposite view was taken by the rest of the jury. Okay, excusez-moi. Those are the ways you can be using your signposting words to guide the reader through your essay. And the best way for you to see them and notice them is make an essay plan and get all your contrasting connectors, linkers onto that plan somewhere. And it's just so easy for you to write your essay after that. All right, everyone. I think our time is up. Oh, thank you very much for joining us. I hope you've learned a little bit something about signposting and why you should use it in your essay. Okay, thanks very much yet again for joining us, and I hope to see you next time.